Depression can teach us some lessons, whether you want it to or not. I'm Dr. Leif Smith, and I've worked with people for over 21 years. I've had over 30,000 sessions with clients to help them with anxiety and depression and all sorts of other things. And today I thought it might be a little bit different to talk about my own times that I've battled with depression and what I did and what I learned from depression, and maybe these lessons can help you in your life. So you may be wondering, why me? Why should you listen to me? Well, that's a good question. I'm Dr. Leif Smith, and I have over 21 years in the business helping people work through their own anxiety and depression. And I'm like you and everyone else, and I've been through some hard times myself. Specifically, the incidents, the battles with depression that I'm talking about. I had one at age 21 when I was in college, and another one when I was 38, and the end of my first marriage. So I had two different battles with depression that I wanted to talk about. Like you, I have also gone through periods of depression. And so you're not alone. When I was 21, I got over my first big relationship breakup, and it was devastating. I'd been with this lady for a year and a half, and I'm at 2021, I thought, she's the one, right? You always do. It's your first serious relationship. And it ended, surprisingly to me, out of nowhere. It wasn't out of nowhere, obviously, and that's a whole nother video. But I was unprepared for that, and it was devastating, and I could barely function. And so for months, I dealt with depression, not being able to even fall asleep at night, waking up, getting a headache as soon as you wake up because of the pain you're feeling. You don't want to be in this life that you have right now. I lost interest in things that normally would give me pleasure, such as playing basketball at the time, being with my friends, going out, doing things. I lost all interest in that. Schooling, I was totally unfocused on my schooling. Sleeping all the time because that was the only way I could avoid feeling the pain that I was feeling. Absolutely no interest in dating anyone else, even though she had moved on to other people, right? And I had absolutely no interest in that. So it was devastating. The lack of appetite, the sleep problems, the apathy, the not wanting to do anything. And it took me months to recover from that incident. And I learned some stuff. Now, my second bout came when I was 37, 38, and the end of my first marriage, which lasted about 15 years in total. And it was painful. Why is it painful? Well, if you haven't been through a divorce, and there's 50% of people that get married are going to go through a divorce. And so if you haven't been through it, it's painful. Why is it painful? Well, you have to acknowledge that your dream ended. You had a dream when you married this person. You had a dream that you were going to have a good life. You were going to make a family. You were going to live in the suburbs. You were going to have the white picket fence. And to me, the depressing part of going through a divorce or a relationship ending, which could be similar at that age, is the end of that dream. And the fact that you had some responsibility in that marriage ending. That's very sobering to know that you played a part in it. I don't care what happened on the other end. If there was infidelity, those sorts of things, you as the other person, or me in this case, had something to do with that. I was not being the best partner I could be. I was not doing what I needed to do. We weren't aligned. That's what happens. And so it is sad when you go through a divorce, whether it's good for you or not. And mine in this case was really good for me later on because I did meet the woman of my dreams later on. But at the time, you get depressed. I got depressed, and it was really hard. You lose kind of some focus. It's hard to do my job professionally when I'm hurting internally. It's really hard to help other people when you're hurting and when you're trying to get past your own pain internally. And so, two bouts of depression, 17, 18 years apart, and they were big bouts of depression, and it's like a fog. And if you've been through depression, you know what I'm talking about when you talk about the fog. There's just this fog around you, and you just can't seem to focus, and you can't seem to find anything that makes you happy or gives you pleasure. If you've had depression, you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. So that being said, I've been there, and I want to give you 3 lessons that I've learned that might help you on your journey. Lesson number 1, I've learned that I am responsible for myself and my own life and my own choices. I'm responsible for making myself happy. Not anyone I'm with, not my wife, not my partner, not my kids, not my siblings, not my friends. It's up to me to make myself happy. It's up to me to make the choices that I need to make in my life and to choose the pathway that I'm going to take. That is very sobering, to realize that it's completely up to you. But it's an important lesson, and you learn this going through depression, and I learned this very clearly, right? When your relationships end, and both of my depressions were, because my bouts of depression, I should say, were after relationships ended. And you have to sit there with yourself, and you have to acknowledge your part in the relationship ending, and you have to acknowledge your part in the fact that you have to move forward. Nobody's going to do it for you. There is nobody that's going to come up. I don't care how many friends you have. They can't live your life for you. They cannot make the choice to get out of bed, to shower, to put on your clothes and your shoes and get out there and face the world again. They can't do that. Only you can do that. That was a hard lesson, I should say, that I learned, but it's a very important lesson that we need to take with us in the rest of our life. A second lesson that I've learned through my 2 bouts of depression is friends are gold. What does that mean? Well, it's really hard, and especially as you get older, you start learning this. It's really hard to hang on to good friends in your life. If you're lucky, you'll find a handful of friends that will stick with you through thick and thin. When you're younger, and you're hanging out with people all the time, and you're taking classes, and you're in school and things like that, there's plenty of friends around you, and you kind of take it for granted. But what happens as you start getting older is these friends start dissipating. They start moving across the country or across the globe. You lose touch with them. Even though we have social media, the touch you do have with them is very light, and you become more acquaintances than you do friends. So one of the things I've learned through going through depression is hang on to your friends, because they are gold. The ones that are there for you, they're really there for you. And so give back. Be that friend that they are to you in your time of need. Treasure them. Nurture that relationship, because you're going to need it later on. One last lesson, lesson number 3 that I've learned through going through depression. Pain builds us. The pain that you're going through when you're depressed, it sucks and it hurts, and it's a chronic and it's a short-term acute pain too. It hurts. But what does it do long-term? It builds strength. It builds wisdom. I mean, how do you get wise? You get wise through experience, right? How do you learn about relationships? You learn a lot when your relationships end. How do you learn about life? By going through it. So pain is going to build you long-term, even though it hurts you short-term. It's going to build wisdom. It's going to build grit and resilience. Sometimes when I'm talking to people, or I'm talking to students, for instance, I teach undergrads now, and sometimes the students ask me, what kind of wisdom can I pass on? And I tell them, all this pain you're going through now, and all the rejections, not getting into the grad school that you want, your relationship ending because it's long distance, things like that. Yeah, it sucks and it hurts. There's no way around that. But later on, you're going to be wiser, you're going to be smarter, you're going to be softer for the experience. So the pain of depression, short-term hurts us. Long-term, I think of it as a gift. I wouldn't be who I am if I hadn't gone through depression. I wouldn't be the dad I am. I wouldn't be the husband I am. I wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't be the therapist I am. How would I be able to relate to people if I hadn't been through some of the same stuff that they're going through? So it's built me. It's made me tougher. It's made me a lot tougher, a lot more resilient in life as I move forward and face other pain in my life. It also has built in me, a sense of humor. So this pain that I went through before has helped me build a sense of humor now, which I use to get through more painful experiences. After all, if we can't laugh at life, if we can't laugh at the ridiculousness, the painfulness stuff of what's going on in our lives, then it's just going to be worse. So what I've learned to do is to use humor to get me through the tough spots. Because humor implies that you are able to look at a situation differently. You're able to look at what's ridiculous about this situation and then move forward. So there you have it. 3 lessons that depression has taught me as a therapist of 21 years in my own personal life. Maybe one of them will resonate with you. I'm Dr. Leif Smith. Thanks for staying with me today, and I will see you in my next video.